Hi, I'm Cameron.
Hi, I'm this bump on a log, Hayden.
What are we doing? And this is...
Until the End of Crime. Why did I forget the name of our podcast?
Oh, it's right behind you. Hayden, what can you tell me about Sir Arthur Conan Doyle?
I think he's the dude that wrote Sherlock Holmes.
Indeed, we've spoken about him on this very podcast.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, because that guy who was bad at crime was obsessed with him.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not obsessed, but what did they break into? Harrods? No, that's a mall, right? What's the name of that bank?
Lloyd's Bank.
Do you bank there now?
No, I don't.
Do you still bank with your bank from the U.S.?
I have both. Yeah, I'm going to have to keep my U.S. one because that's where my mortgage is pulled from.
So I know that about him. Do I know anything else about Sir Arthur Conan Doyle? Is that his name? Arthur Conan Doyle?
Yeah, apparently.
Arthur Doyle?
It's Arthur Conan Doyle. And are you clicking on things?
No.
Are
Yes, but
honest?
I stopped.
Yeah.
I was messing with this candle lid. I was hoping we would just move on, but we continued to sit in silence.
Because I was trying to figure out where the sound was coming from if it wasn't coming from you.
Oh, you knew it was me.
But you said no, and I believed you.
Well, whose fault is that? Of course I'm making noises.
So apparently it's Arthur, I'm going to make something up, but it's like...
Is he knighted?
Ignotus, yeah, Conan Doyle. And he's got two middle names, but at some point he kind of adopted the Conan as his second surname.
Okay.
I don't know.
Wow.
But yes, knighted.
He sounds a little dramatic.
Well, one might expect that of the person who wrote the character Sherlock Holmes.
Colorful. Fanciful.
Indeed.
Something else British.
Scones.
Sconerific. Do they call them scones?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't.
When you go in, do you say, "Can I have a scone?"
When I go in to where? I just go to the grocery store and buy scones.
Do they say please in the UK?
Yes.
If you bump into somebody, do they say excuse me?
I think it's more common that they say pardon me or sorry.
Okay. Do people say bless you after a sneeze?
Yes.
Do they say you're welcome? Do they say no problem?
I don't know.
Okay. Have you heard any new euphemisms?
No, I don't know. No.
Okay. Well, think about it over the course of next week and then report back with any new euphemisms.
As if I'm not already maximizing the use of my brain every day.
Is Bob's your uncle British or Australian?
What?
Bob's your uncle?
I don't know what that is.
No, yes you do.
I don't know what that is. I have an aunt who was born in England who we call Bob.
It is a British English idiom meaning, and there you have it, or it's done. Please use it.
No.
Okay. Wow. So you're just not going to give me anything I want. That's fine.
As it turns out, I do not perform on command. Surprising no one.
That's true. Okay, go ahead. Sorry,
Right.
I'm getting lost in the sauce.
Indeed. Please, just let me tell the story.
Yeah. Yeah, after you said, let's add. Okay.
I did think we would add to the story and not to my new colloquialisms.
Well, Bob's your uncle.
Arthur Conan Doyle was born in Edinburgh in 1859 and was one of 9 children.
Where Lawrence Chaney's from?
I think Lawrence Chaney's from Glasgow.
Oh, she says from Edinburgh to so-and-so. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
She might be.
No, you're right.
Around the age of 5, his family kind of was forced to disperse due to his father's drinking. And so he went to live with a family friend around the corner and attended Newington Academy. During his time at Newington, there was a French immigrant who was proficient in Latin, Greek, English, and German, and I assume French.
Wow.
And so this man, Eugene Chantrelle, was employed by several schools to tutor or teach language courses. He also offered private lessons, so he was making making good use of his language proficiency and making some extra coin. I do believe that he did teach Arthur Conan Doyle during the time that he attended Newington Academy, but by the time Doyle was 9, his uncles paid to send him to England for his education. No word on if they were called Bob. Eugene, who was considered a well-to-do, handsome, intelligent man, was employed, as I mentioned, at the local schools, including Newington, which is where in 1866, 34-year-old Eugene met Elizabeth Dyer, who was from a prominent Edinburgh family.
Why does her name sound familiar?
Elizabeth Dyer?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. As I mentioned, Eugene was well-dressed and good-looking. Who would have been able to resist him when he started to put the moves on them?
Put the moves?
I'll tell you who couldn't resist it.
Elizabeth Dyer.
Yeah, despite the fact that she was 15.
Oh. Was that weird back then?
I believe it was weird.
What year was it?
1866.
Okay, a year after the Emancipation Proclamation. Probably weird.
Yeah, 34-year-old
Okay.
man, 15-year-old girl.
Well, I don't know.
Teacher, student.
Sure. Yeah. It's obviously unethical. Like, it's not good, but I don't know. I didn't know if that's like something that they cared about or if that's, I just don't know.
If you're applying that retroactively.
I don't have the historical lens. Yeah.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah. Apparently she
Sorry.
was also considered beautiful, so we can forgive grooming and pedophilia, right? She was beautiful. She was beautiful.
Okay.
All right. I'm glad we're all on the same page about this. Eugene successfully seduced, if you're going to believe the word selected by various news sources, Elizabeth. And in August of 1868, the two tied the knot. Elizabeth was apparently 16 at the time of their marriage, although I did come across one source that said that while the quote relationship began in 1866 when Elizabeth was 15, that she was actually 17 by the time she married Eugene, but most sources said she was 15 or 16. So
I mean, I think that there are still some states in the U.S. where a grown man can marry a 16-year-old girl if their family says so.
probably. But I think it's just safe to assume that she was 15 when the relationship started and 16 when they married.
Oh, God.
Either way, miraculously, only 2 months after they wed, Elizabeth delivered a baby boy.
Wow. That was fast gestation.
It definitely was fast gestation, and the marriage had nothing to do with the fact that Elizabeth was pregnant and showing.
Okay, so they knew she was pregnant when she got married. Mm-hmm. Okay.
The couple would go on to have 3 more sons. After it became obvious that Elizabeth had fallen pregnant with Eugene's child, they were both dismissed from the academy.
This was before they got married, though. Okay.
What are you fidgeting with now?
Can you hear it?
I can. You need like a sock.
I know. I'm good. I'm not going to make any more noise other than with my mouth.
Okay. I'm not really sure if this is the time to throw this out there, but according to at least one source, there was some speculation about Eugene's marital situation. Not that he was married to a Scottish pupil turned wife while she was still a teenager and carrying his child. Don't be ridiculous. It seems that there was a belief that he had a wife in France, and possibly some wives in North America.
Oh, good. We love a polygamist.
But who knows if there's any validity to those beliefs.
You do.
Not I.
You know.
I don't know.
Is the case not about his multiple wives?
No.
Oh, okay.
What I do know is that Eugene and Elizabeth really got along swimmingly. Their home, which was over a shop, had a room that Eugene would use for his private tutoring, so I'm sure that with him working from home, they were doing a bang-up job of co-parenting.
I'm sure. Eugene sounds like he'd be a great co-parent.
Yeah, he was likely doing his fair share, accounting for the toll that pregnancy, delivery, breastfeeding, alongside whatever other postpartum things her body was going through, and I'm sure he was helping her out, right?
Having
Don't you think?
4 children.
Yeah.
Crazy town. Did you say how short of a period their 4 children were born in?
No, because I don't fully know.
Okay.
I know it was within the span of 9 years or
Okay.
10 years. So I guess every other year, just about.
Jesus. Could you imagine having
No.
4 children by the time
No.
you're, 27, 26?
25, yeah. Things that were also going well for Eugene was how easily his French wine, champagne, and Scottish whiskey went down. I mean, after he had discovered the wonders of the national drink, he was downing a bottle of it a day.
Oh my God. Well, if she doesn't like him, she doesn't have to worry for long. A bottle a day?
Sounds delicious,
What was
doesn't
the
it?
drink?
Scottish whiskey. Scotch.
That is so much. A bottle a day. I wonder how long that would take to give you alcohol. Like, what is it called? The liver syndrome?
Cirrhosis.
Yes, but I'm thinking of like, when you have it because you're fat, it's fatty, fatty liver disease. But what is it called when it comes from drinking? I don't know. Doesn't matter, but continue.
Cirrhosis of the liver.
But is that its name for... Okay, I'm ready for you to continue, if you're ready to continue.
Should we get some scotch while we continue working through this?
I don't drink any kind of whiskey. I don't like whiskey. I am not a whiskey girl. Sorry, Toby Keith. I think that's his song, Whiskey Girl.
I don't care. Isn't he dead?
No.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, he died February 5th, 2024.
No, he did. Toby Keith?
Yeah.
Wow. I guess that's why I don't hear about him anymore. Okay, well, Toby Keith, what did he die from?
I already closed the tab.
Oh, interesting.
All right, so scotch. Drinking it like a fish. And this train is never late, possibly due to his excessive drinking, possibly due to something else. He was also pretty violent with Elizabeth. Some might call him abusive. I might take back my statements that he was probably helping her out with the babies.
Yeah, it's not
Sounds
sounding
like
he did much.
Yeah, sounds like it would have been out of character for him. Instead, he'd kick and punch and beat her. He'd kick her out into the cold Scottish nights, which would force her to stay in a nearby flat for shelter. He threatened her all the time, telling her that he'd shoot her with a pistol or he would use his medical knowledge to poison her.
Oh my God, was he a doctor?
I don't know. It seems like everybody had medical knowledge.
Everyone could be a doctor in the 1860s.
So several reports seem to have been made to the police, and Eugene was given official warnings.
Oh.
By the time the couple had 3 children, Elizabeth grew concerned that Eugene would make good on his threats to kill her. When she spoke to her mother about her concern for her life, she was encouraged to hang in there.
Now, that does feel like the 1860s. That does feel accurate. Hang in there. You've got a good husband. He'll take care of you.
Well, how could she feed her 3 sons if she left her husband, the provider?
How could you do anything in the 1800s if you left your husband?
Especially if you come from a prominent family in Edinburgh. I can't imagine how you would be able to get by.
Well, would they even take her back?
I
Would
don't
they
know.
let her come there?
I think that was kind of what she was calling out for, was help, because she was afraid that he was going to kill her.
Right, but Mom said hang in there.
Yeah, she was like, "You're doing great, kid."
You're really killing it. Don't worry about it. It's going to work out. Live, laugh, love.
You don't leave your husband in the 1800s, I'll tell you that much. About 9 years after Eugene and Elizabeth married, Eugene took out life insurance policies on both himself and his wife to the tune of £1,000 each. That would
Adjusted
be
for inflation.
That would be £121,000 today, which is $161,000.
Okay. I mean, that's not as much as I thought it was going to be.
No, it's not that much. Now, back to your question. I'm not exactly sure when Elizabeth would have had their 4th child, because the childbearing kind of dropped off from the storyline after the 3rd one, but it had to have been in 1877 at the absolute latest.
Why is that the absolute latest?
I think you're going to find out. I hope you're going to find out. If you don't find out, I've done a very poor job on this
I hope
case.
it's not because she dies. I hope that's not what happens.
Eugene, being the darling that he was, knew that the family was struggling financially, but somehow he was still able to persevere and maintain his flow of champagne, opting for the bubbly drink over water. With the life
exquisite taste.
Yeah, well.
Too bad they
What is
didn't have
it?
bubbly back then.
What is it? Champagne?
Champagne dreams.
No, I mean, yes, but no, it's champagne taste with a Bud Light budget or something like that.
Oh, probably.
The beer budget. Anyway, with the life insurance policies in place, Elizabeth became even more concerned, if you can believe it, that her life was at risk. She expressed this to her mother once again, and she again told her she didn't have anything to truly worry about.
You know, Mom sounds really level-headed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was this guy, like, respected in the community at all? Was he anything? Or Like, what? Did something grant him a level of protection
He
or
did
notoriety?
there was this idea that he was intelligent and that he was handsome, and let's not underestimate what that alone.
Okay,
he was
so
well
was
dressed.
Ted Bundy.
Right. Well dressed, handsome, intelligent in the 1860s, 1870s.
Do you know what he looked like?
Maybe.
I'm just wondering if he's like hot enough to leave a husband for.
Are you interested in doing so?
I mean, no, he's dead. So what good would that do me?
Can you imagine if the plot twist was that he's not dead?
I go collect that life insurance money he got.
So New Year's Eve 1877 was a normal, even jovial time, but on the first day of 1878, Elizabeth expressed that she was not feeling well. She was unable to eat any of the celebratory meal. I think it was duck.
Yeah, 'cause she was poisoned.
And the following morning, she was found covered in vomit in bed by her servant, who was bringing her her morning tea.
What, did he poison her with wolfsbane?
Wolfsbane. She soon fell unconscious, and a Dr. Carmichael arrived at the home, noticing a peculiar smell in the air. The doctor brought some brandy with him to use as a stimulant to hopefully rouse Elizabeth.
They had no idea what they were doing. That shit was made up. Were they still dealing with humeruses back then? Like bilious, or like, was that still the like standard?
It didn't come up in my research of this case.
Okay. I'm just, like, yeah, brandy as a stimulant.
One source said to inject, and I was like, I don't think it was to inject.
Inject brandy?
Yeah, I don't think so. But the brandy turned out to be not effective because when Dr. Carmichael looked away, Eugene drank nearly all of what the doctor had brought in to care for Elizabeth.
Oh, what a peach.
He was just a very thirsty boy. Elizabeth was taken to an infirmary where she died shortly after her arrival, despite the healthcare workers performing measures in an attempt to save her life. Eugene became apoplectic, accusing the doctors of murdering his wife. He was beside himself with grief.
Sounds like he's putting on a show, putting on the Ritz.
In the meantime, Dr. Carmichael called the police surgeon, Dr. Henry Littlejohn, who came to investigate the scene, noting the fumes and the gas pipe.
Fumes and gas pipe where?
So I mentioned that the doctor noticed an odor in the home. And it was what he believed was gas, assuming that Elizabeth was poisoned due to the fumes of coal gas.
Oh.
So an investigation was done to locate the problem so that no one else would have such heavy exposure to the dangerous fumes. What was found was that a gas pipe near Elizabeth's bed had been tampered with, and it was at this point that they no longer believed that Elizabeth, at the young age of 26, had died due to an accidental gas poisoning.
Oh no, who did it? One of her children? Her mother. Certainly not her husband.
And this is where Sir Arthur Conan Doyle re-enters the story.
Weird that he's a character in this. I forgot all about him.
He was taught by this guy, by Eugene. So, the symptoms that Elizabeth had exhibited when being cared for by doctors also lent credibility to this theory, because they apparently were not the same symptoms you would expect someone to have if they had prolonged or even highly saturated amounts of coal gas in their system.
Okay.
They were more in line with what one would expect of a poisoning done with narcotics.
Ooh. Was opium widely available in the 1800s?
During the examination of the body post-mortem, this theory was confirmed when the vomit from Elizabeth's gown was tested and shown to have traces of opium in it.
Yeah.
Only 3 days after Elizabeth's death, her funeral was held, January 5th, 1878. Eugene was still really devastated, so much so that he attempted to throw his body on top of the casket after it had already been placed in the grave.
Dude, this guy knows how to put on a show.
He
He knows all these languages. He has studied the drama. He knows. He's sitting there thinking he's fucking Shakespeare.
He's familiar with a Greek tragedy.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Yep. And the Shakespearean
tragedy. All of the languages that he knows have roots with famous tragedies.
Romeo and Juliet.
Immediately following the funeral, Eugene was arrested on suspicion of murdering Elizabeth.
That sounds fair.
Yeah. As it turns out,
Did he not realize that they were onto him? Or was he trying to detract from their attention? Like, what did he hope to gain by being so over the top? And does Sir Arthur Conan Doyle? We're just gonna call him Sir Arthur. I am.
Just call him Doyle.
Doyle. Is he back in the picture? Is he
Not
watching
quite.
his old teacher fucking throw himself on top of his wife's coffin?
No, not quite, but he does come back up, and it's all going to make sense once he does come back up, I think, hopefully. So, as it turns out, Eugene had purchased 60 grams of opium less than 40 days before Elizabeth's death, and within 2 months of taking out those life insurance policies on himself and Elizabeth.
Okay.
Eugene stood trial in May 1878. Some of the damning testimony and evidence given included the couple's oldest son, who was only 9 or 10 at this point, telling about how his father acted cruelly towards his mother, hitting her, swearing at her, calling her names, and leaving her in tears. This testimony, as well as the testimony of Mary Byrne, was uncontested. Mary Byrne, the servant who had found Elizabeth covered in vomit, testified to what she saw on that morning, including an empty whiskey bottle in the parlor, and Eugene's casual response when she told him about Elizabeth's condition. The
find out that Eugene didn't do it.
The histrionics weren't really turned on until after there were others around. I don't know that the servant was worthy of him putting on the show for. You're not going to find out Eugene didn't do it. Eugene did this.
Okay. Well, because it's such an easy, I'm waiting for you to give me the conflict.
Wow.
Let me rephrase. I am used to
Disappointing you
cases
yet again.
never being what I think they are, except for the one time you gave me that wonderful woman who actually killed her husband and actually killed the victim in the case. And so I'm just not used to you being upfront with your crime.
I really had to do a 180 from Jenny Haynes. The last crime I delivered was very, very terrible.
Jenny Haynes was way heavy. If we never do another Jenny Haynes, I'm okay with that.
I just can't imagine another one of those existing.
But it does.
Yeah, but I don't want to find out about it.
Yeah, don't go looking anymore. What are you doing?
I didn't go looking. I told you that was on my docket from day one.
Crazy docket.
I'd suggested that for another podcast before, and they never took my suggestion. So
well, I can't believe it.
Gotta do it myself.
Oh my God. Guys, write in on our Instagram what terrible cases you want us to cover. Cameron will do them. She'll do it. Is it going to make us miserable? She'll do it.
Sigh. Okay. So it was also revealed during the post-mortem that there was alcohol in Elizabeth's urine, and it was believed that Eugene had mixed the opium in with the whiskey, presumably for a celebratory New Year's drink, poisoning her and then disturbing the gas pipe to make it look like it was an accident. Didn't mention this before, but the life insurance was conditional in that the death had to be due to an accident.
Okay.
So he had to make it look like she died accidentally. Another witness.
All of this for $160,000?
Yes. I'm sure it went a long way back then.
Yeah, of course. But I mean,
especially for an alcoholic who's drinking champagne instead of water.
I've got so many questions for you, Eugene.
And you can have them answered because miraculously.
He's not alive. He's not, unless he became a sentient computer.
Bicentennial man. Another witness at trial was a former housemaid who had to save Elizabeth once from Eugene's abuse. And when she reported it to the police, Eugene in 1870s speak said basically that he would kill Elizabeth. I think he called her a bitch.
Oh.
I think he said, I'll do that bitch in or something. I don't know.
Eugene sounds like a piece of shit.
Yeah, he wasn't quite the guy that everybody perceived him to be, was he?
They never are. They never are.
Kind of like a lady in the street, but a demon at home. The evidence against him was pretty damning, and the defense team struggled to find anyone who could refute that Eugene was violent with his wife. Even just someone who could say that he wasn't nasty to her all of the time.
Wow.
After a jury deliberated for less than 70 minutes, Eugene Chantrelle was found guilty of murdering his wife and former pupil and was sentenced to death. He took it well. You know what they say? Took it on the chin. He took it well, saying that he wished he could light a fuse in the middle of humanity and blow everything up because he hated people.
Oh my God, he was so dramatic. So dramatic.
For his final meal, he requested...
I wish I could light a fuse in the middle of humanity. And blow it all... What did he say?
And blow it all up, yeah, because he hated people. I paraphrased.
Eugene Michael Smith, why were you so hateful to humanity?
For his final meal, he requested 3 bottles of champagne and a whore.
Did he get it?
But for some reason, his request remained unfulfilled.
3 bottles of champagne and a whore.
Instead, he had coffee and eggs for breakfast, washed it all down with some brandy, smoked a cigar, and was hanged on May 31st, 1878. Apparently, shortly before his hanging, he told Dr. Littlejohn, who was required to attend his execution, to give his compliments to Dr. Bell, in essence crediting Bell with Eugene's being brought to justice.
Well, he sure had a sense of humor.
You don't have questions about who Dr. Bell is?
Oh, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle as Dr. Bell.
Not quite.
Oh.
But I like where you're going with this. But how in the world, after all of the staging and rigmarole that Eugene had gone through, was he figured out so quickly? Well, you see, dear Watson, that a man called Dr. Joseph Bell had heard about the case, and he suspected that not all was what it seemed. He called his buddy Dr. Henry Littlejohn, the same man that Dr. Carmichael had called after arriving at the scene of Elizabeth's sickbed. And what Dr. Bell's hypothesis prompted was that the 2 men would return to Elizabeth's body, and it was their scrutiny that led to the discovery of the opium on Elizabeth's nightgown. Just an aside, but the way that Dr. Bell analyzed people and their motivations is why he is considered one of the early pioneers of forensic psychology.
Oh, good for you, Dr. Bell. Snaps for Dr. Bell.
Yes. So, thanks to Dr. Joseph Bell, Eugene was not able to collect the life insurance policy for murdering Elizabeth. But what the hell does any of this have to do with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle?
That's what I've been asking myself since the start. I don't know why we started with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I don't know why you put me through the pain of trying to say his name.
Well, possibly because of his proximity to some of the key players in this case, and the fact that Dr. Bell was Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's professor while he was studying at the University of Edinburgh. Doyle was so impressed by Dr. Bell, who was brought to prominence after his work on the Chantrelle case, and went on to consult with Scotland Yard about Jack the Ripper, that he modeled the fictional Sherlock Holmes character after him. That was it. That was the reason that we started with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
What? Help me.
Elementary.
Have you ever seen Pitch Perfect?
Yes.
Okay, what does Fat Amy say? Not a good enough reason to use the word...
Penetrate.
Okay. Not a good enough reason to make me say Sir Conan Arthur Doyle.
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Right.
Oh my God. Why is that so hard for me?
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure if he ever took inspiration from the story of Eugene and Elizabeth Chantrelle in his writings, but in a way, the case did influence the inception of the famous character. It's possible that Dr. Littlejohn and Dr. Bell worked together similarly to how John Watson worked with Sherlock Holmes. Mm-hmm. But I hope you don't think that this is where the literary inspiration ends.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, it is also widely believed that due to the way that Eugene was so buttoned up, handsome, and intelligent to the public, but behind closed doors was vile, abusive, and murderous, as it turns out, that he was the inspiration for another English author. Robert Louis Stevenson wrote the Gothic horror novella, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and it was published 8 years to the day after Eugene's arrest. Poetic justice, just to keep it literary. And so that is the case of the murder of Elizabeth Dyer Chantrelle. And it is a case that inspired two classic literary figures.
Wow. That's kind of crazy. I'm going to be really honest. I don't think I've ever read an entire Sherlock Holmes novel.
Nor have I.
Okay, good. But I've definitely read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I had no idea that that was inspired by a true crime story.
Right. Nor did I. But because I was looking into Jekyll and Hyde, I found that out. I was like, well, this is interesting, so I'm going to cover it. And it's also got a literary connection or two that makes it lighter than Ginny Haynes.
Yeah.
More entertaining.
Anything was going to be lighter than Ginny Haynes.
Yeah, but I wanted to go really far from how dark that was.
It is sad that Elizabeth Dyer was murdered.
Yes.
That is very sad, especially after she was groomed and then had 4 of his children and spent all of that time under his abusive thumb.
Especially after she was so concerned that she reached out about her fear that he would kill her multiple times.
Yeah. Very disappointing, very sad. But seeing the connection between true crime and literary achievements is really cool.
Yeah. I liked that it was published literally 8 years to the day after his arrest.
Yeah.
I was like, that's cool.
Asking for 3 bottles of champagne and a whore is wild.
I knew you were going to like that.
I love that they said last meal, and that was his mindset. Send me a whore.
Yeah. He just was not the guy that he was seen as by the community. But he taught Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and then the guy who ended up being his downfall taught Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
It is an interesting how that all worked out for him.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he was miserable leading up to his death.
That would be lovely.
Yeah, that would be more enjoyable than the idea that he had peace before.
But he did say, tell Dr. Bell, he did a good job. He got me.
He got me, gal. Yeah, he sure did. He got you, Eugene.
Yeah. What a lovely little piece of shit.
Most certainly. Great case. I really enjoyed it this week.
A complete list of sources and any links can be found in the show notes.
And that's all we've got for this episode. If you enjoyed listening and you want to hear more, please subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating and leave a really sweet positive review about how I helped my host tell her story today.
Recommend us to a friend. And if you're able and willing to help us produce this podcast, sign up for our Patreon.
Join our supportive bestie tier for only $2 a month. It's listed in the show notes. Also, make sure you're following us at End of Crime Pod on Instagram.
Our email address is endofcrimepod@gmail.com, so feel free to reach out with questions or episode suggestions.
Thank you for listening.
Until the next crime.